Video on Saturday, the 29th of July, 2023, just gone 10:02 p.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend and time for another weekend futures market recap, where I go through 15 of the largest futures markets and I show you what I'm seeing on my charts. Apologies for not putting out a video last weekend. Thank you for the kind notes I got. Everything's fine with us, but we're traveling, moving on from Australia back to France a week before we get traveling. Things get a little bit hectic, a lot of things to do, a lot of people to see, so that's the reason for no video last weekend. But anyway, so we're on the road tomorrow. Thought I'd put out a video today and just show you what I'm seeing on my charts. So last time we spoke, I talked about all the RAMBO patterns that were popping up all over the show on all our particularly daily charts of the indices, and they're still there, and there's still more of them. So we're going to start with the E-mini charts, rolling down from the daily chart all the way to the 15-minute and tick bar chart. Then I'm going to show you a couple of high time frame, almost daily charts of the commodities, and then we'll go to the signals on each of the tick bar charts for the various 15 futures markets that we look at. So here we go. This is the E-mini daily chart here at es.d, so it's day session only. Traditional view of the better indicators, where we've got two panels side by side, everything to do with volume on the left-hand side, with better momentum, which is a volume-based momentum indicator, and better pro-am, which uses the average trade size to identify amateur and professional activity. And then on the right-hand side, everything to do with price, based on better sine wave here, which is the plate of spaghetti beneath the price bars that gives us support and resistance levels in 3 different time frames, and that allows us to print uptrends and downtrends. Now, we're still in a confirmed uptrend because the background is red, which shows us that we're in an uptrend in terms of price. You can see all the bars are printed in red, which means we're in an uptrend when it comes to better sine wave trend algorithm. And then we're also in an uptrend on volume terms because we've broken out above our trailing stop, which trails the professionals down, and we've seen very little professional activity, in the last, 6-7 months now, actually. Yeah, almost none. So there we go. That was the last time we saw professionals really active. The end of last year, buying at lows, 3,800, bang, we've been rocketing higher ever since. But this is what we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. We're pushing into those highs, 4,600. And we got RAMBO patterns, which means the move is being led by the amateurs. RAMBO, potential reversal of an amateur breakout. It just means the highs and lows are being made with low average trade size, which shows the amateurs are active at these highs. And we also have an exhaustion pattern. So with an exhaustion pattern and amateur bars, I talk about that being unstable, because that means there's a lot of buying activity. It's all being led by the amateurs. Watch out. But we are in an uptrend. So all we're going to do is going to be putting in a little, not even a left shoulder here, it's just a point of resistance on this time frame, and then we'll drop down to find support on this daily time frame when these two lines come together. But it refuses to break and break, and I always talk about the low of the amateur bars of the sequence. So that's the low of this amateur bar sequence, which is at 45.21. You might count this low as significant as well, 45.57, which I think we briefly touched a couple of days ago, where we had a weakness after the Fed announcement, and then we bounced back. We've got a little bit of an inside bar going on at the moment. So just wait and see if this move gets broken to the downside, and we just go for a little bit of a tumble on the downside. Let's go through the time frames now, going down to the 135-minute chart. Exactly 3 135-minute bars in a day session of the E-mini. Not sure if you can hear the birds in the background. This is Australian bird wildlife is just extraordinary. We've been enjoying ourselves up here in a place called Noosa, which is in Queensland, and just been glorious weather here. Despite it being wintertime in Australia, when you're this far north in Queensland, it's just glorious to be here. Anyway, sad to be leaving. So 135-minute chart here. Again, no blue professional bars active until we had since the breakout here. And then at these highs, we got some flush patterns. We already pushed through the end of trend. As soon as we're pushing through end of trends like this, we know the market is strong because we keep on busting up through these resistances. And even this last one that we're sitting on right now, we bust up through this resistance, and the background's in red. So we're in a strong uptrend, but it's just, is it time that we'll have a little bit of profit taking and we'll drop back and the professionals will step in and hold the market? 45-minute chart here. First time we see some professional bars up here after the Fed announcement and all the volatility we had. I would suggest that that's some professionals exiting there and then getting out on the retrace during that quiet night session. They can push it back up and use that as an opportunity to get out. But what we need is we need the low of that sequence and this trailing stop with better pro-am to be broken to give us confirmation that that was actually what they were doing during that sequence there. So let's see if we see that this week. On this time frame, yep, keep on busting through end of trends, I've got an end of trend going off here, but starting to find a little bit of trouble here. So the last resistance, we just bounced off that, which is good. We got a little resistance in there on the 45-minute chart here, you can see. So if we continue down below that and that resistance holds on that bar, that's significant. That just means that the strength in the market pushing through those resistances has run out. We're going through a little bit of a cyclical pattern before turning into a trending pattern. And then on the 15-minute chart, this is the first time we see a little bit of weakness. And at the moment, what we're sitting in is what I call a dark pattern. So we had our breakdown and we had the background print in gray, which means it's weak, which means we've got a downtrend in terms of price and volume. And then we've come back up and one of these has signaled some strength. So we've got the bars in red showing a potential uptrend, but it's not been confirmed by the volume patterns on better pro-am. So we're in the dark here. That's why the background is non-confirmed. We have downtrend in terms of volume and we've got an uptrend in terms of price. So they'll need confirmation. And so my guess is we're going to get confirmation where this breaks into a downtrend, where better sine wave turns into a downtrend here. And the low of this sequence, 45.53, is going to be important down there. But this could easily turn into a downtrend in the next Monday or Tuesday here. And we'll get our confirmation on the 15-minute chart. So there we go. So from the high time frames all the way down, we're still in an uptrend, but we're just expecting some weakness. It's just taking a while to play itself out. This is a pretty volatile week here. Starting to run out of steam finally, and as usual comes with a Fed announcement as being maybe the trigger for some people to rethink some positions. Let's just have a look at the tip bar charts here. So the 13,500 tip bar chart. On the tip bar chart, we marked this. This is the beginning and the end of the week, the solid yellow vertical lines. And we're looking at day and night sessions. So you can see all of the activity during the day and the night session. RAMBO patterns here, followed by exhaustion. And then we fall off. Blue professional bars step in and hold it at this point, force it back up. And we got blue professional bars coming in here. First sign of a little bit of a downtrend here, dark pattern, and then at the moment we're in an uptrend on the 13,500 tip bar chart, but let's wait and see. 45.89 is going to be a critical level there. It's support with the trailing stop on better pro-am. It's also support on the highest time frame on better sine wave. So that's an important level. If that gets broken in the next day or two, I think we'll set off that little tumble to the downside. So there we go. That's some thoughts and what the charts are showing on the E-mini. On the daily charts or the long-term charts here, I'm going to show you three commodities. So crude oil, first of all. So this is a 460-minute chart, exactly three 460-minute bars in a day session of crude oil trading. And this has been bottoming all year. We've got all these triple signals go off. This is where all three indicators come together. Better sine wave, better pro-am, better momentum. They're non-correlated indicators. When they're all pointing in the same direction, we've got high probability setups and trades. And you can see here below $63. We keep on pushing into it and pushing into it. This was a little bit of a flash crash that we had back here. And that whole area held, those blue professional bars, where they rescued it here, bought in at that low. And we're in a strong uptrend on crude. We're sitting above $80 now. And this is interesting because we could be looking above 84, 85. We might see a professional bar. So come in with this week's activity and trail this up. This is looking interesting in terms of a bigger move on crude. Natural gas, it's the summer doldrums of natural gas. We did have our signal back at the end of June. And we've just been fighting backwards and forwards between the $2 and the $3 mark here. But just bear in mind that is in there. And we're just looking for another confirmation move on the 460-minute chart, natural gas. And then copper. Copper here is looking really interesting. So last couple of weeks we signaled here with a triple signal. We've had our exhaustion sell, bullish divergence. That's one non-correlated indicator. We're oversold back here on better sine wave. That's number two. And then we break the trailing stop with blue professional bars come in. Nice little move down. Force it down and use all of that to pick it up. And we've broken back above that area. So that's a nice confirmation bouncing off that. So what are we at? 393 on copper. I mean, that's interesting if that breaks out this week above $4 and gets us out of this fairly nasty congestion. It's like if this was the low back here, all these blue professional bars coming at 320, and it was a lackluster type move, and then tested back down to 360, and then with these patterns here, we've got rid of a whole bunch of sellers. Here's we've sold it down to clear out the market, and now we're bouncing off that. That gives us an opportunity with all of the shorts getting taken out at some point with those moves. Above $4 would look interesting for copper. So that's on long-term charts. Let's dive into the signals on all of the tick bar charts here. So start off with the Forex markets. We got the Euro chart. No signals on Euro for the last 2 weeks. Super volatile this week, all the Forex pairs were. And you can see here we've got a whole bunch of blue professional bars coming at those lows. And here seemingly buy it. But this we've got to get above these highs, these blue professional bars. With this weakness here, we've got to hold this level and turn back up. So let's see if we get that on the Euro this week. Didn't signal for a long signal because we didn't have exhaustion sell down here. British pound, beginning of the week I was long into the British pound and I was too early, got taken out at a stop, and then could trade long Japanese yen instead. So this one's actually showing a reverse pattern here. Here's all this volatility that we had. I think this was partly the Fed, but partly the Japanese central bank, Bank of Japan, making announcements this week, and that affected a lot of the Forex charts. So seemingly we took off to the upside, but then hit 130 and dove, and then the blue professional bars come in, and we're testing back into these levels here. Now, if these don't hold, and this turns into a white bar, into a downtrend on better sine wave, then this will be a confirmed short signal on British pound. So that's interesting there. Aussie dollar. Aussie could not hold. We had all these signals at the beginning of the week trying to hold. Bullish divergence, yes, this one, that one was a little bit early. Some blue professional bars, but then again, as soon as all of that central bank announcements came out, there's the blue professional bars, bang, sold it down at 68, and we're down at 66s. And this is stair stepping down. No exhaustion sell yet, so let's see where the Aussie dollar goes this week. Japanese yen signaled short. So this is the volatility that we had this week on the Japanese yen. I've never seen anything like this. This huge spike, all within the range of 2 bars there, just unbelievable. And yeah, I was long into this move based on the 300 tip bar chart Japanese yen, and got out here before the announcement by the central bank, which was lucky because that was very unusual activity there. Blue professional bars come in when we test it, signal short at this point, bang, and seemingly heading down. So Japanese yen pretty weak. Then E-minis. So the E-mini signals, yep, this week we had 2 signals at the beginning of the week, went into that exhaustion buy pattern there. So if we break this level, 45.89, I think that'll trigger a short signal because we're overbought. We've got our bearish divergence in. We just need the trailing stop on better prim to signal. So that's an important level on the E-mini. 10-year notes, what are we doing here? Yeah, not a good signal at the end of last week because that was based off that bullish divergence, but that was just getting the move going. So now we're down here at the lows, we've held it, and we stair-stepped up, which is good. No signal because we didn't have exhaustion sell. So let's see if we get a little bit of rush to safety this week, with equities selling off maybe and the bonds being caught. Gold, yeah, this signal was based off bullish divergence back here, so not a classic. All those blue professional bars selling it down would come back under the lip. So if this turns down, let's see. So we don't know what the professionals were actually doing here. They were certainly selling it down at this point, but were they actually picking it up here? No, I think the signal's clear on the silver chart where we've actually signaled short. Here that's more like it. Blue professional bars, bearish divergence comes in, we break the trailing stop and we're down here at the lows. So that's a clearer signal on silver than gold. Bitcoin can't get back up through 30s at the moment. Last signals we had 2 weeks ago were short. We're just stuck in the doldrums here. And then here we go. So crude, all of these signals are not catching. So we've had signals short at the beginning of this week. And we just keep on busting up. Not a whole bunch of blue professional bars taking profits here. Some exhaustion buy pattern there, but didn't come with a whole bunch of blue professional bars buying those highs. And just look at that longer term chart, the 460-minute chart on crude, and think we're going to be busting up through 84 Natural gas, here we did have a signal this week, so tested 250, exhaustion sell bullish divergence, oversold, blue professional bars, we cracked the trailing stop, and we're looking for signs of strength there. So natural gas looking a little stronger. Copper, yep, couldn't get through those highs, sold off here. This is an important level, this $3.90, just under $4, and we're trying to figure out if we're going to bust through there. So although we had signals short, they're based off this exhaustion sell pattern, which maybe was getting this sequence going. So that's copper, got a little bit more of a bullish view on copper than that chart would suggest. And then corn, no signals for 3 or 4 weeks here. Last one was short at that point. This one, selling it down on that bounce. Soybeans, signal short. We had one at the end of last week, and this one's a little neater. A whole bunch of blue professional bars. Bearish divergence comes in, overbought with background in grey. Bang, and we'd break the trailing stop. So soybeans looking weak, and wheat. This was odd this week with this pattern. All these bars seems to me like a lot of spot activity or something. Occasionally we see patterns like that in markets and always think something nefarious going on. Doesn't look good, doesn't look right to me. You look at all of that activity when we zero in on it. Very strange, very strange. And then we go for a little bit of a lift and then it just collapses after that. Just collapse that chart down. Yeah, so wheat is weak. So there we go. Very volatile Forex charts. Are we going to see that little dip on the Emini this week? And maybe 10-year notes will rally as a result. But crude's looking good to me. Copper's looking good. Natural gas potentially, although it is summertime. Not much normally happens in natural gas. But anyway, so there we go. I hope your trading is going well. Looking forward to next week's trade.